This is a download from the BBC. For more information and terms of use, please go to bbc.co.uk/podcasts. One of Franz Liszt's many transcriptions of Schubert's songs and music that's featured on Valentina Lisitsa's new disc. Come over here and have a chat, please. I'm not just going to let you play today. You've got to talk as well. Even though you got on a train at 6 a.m. from Paris to come here to see us. Thank you, for which we are very grateful indeed. Beautiful playing. Thank you very much. Very good to have you in the UK as well, because I was going to say you've been on the world tour, but it doesn't seem like you're ever off either a train or a plane at the moment. What's going on?
It never stops. I'm delighted to be doing so. The travel part really, as they say, sucks. But, going from concert to concert and playing for people, that's what I was dreaming about when I started on YouTube.
I know, many people have discussed the YouTube story. Is it still an unfolding one for you? Because I said 56 million hits. I mean, it seems that every time I see you, it's like another 10 million and another 10 million.
Yeah, I was about to correct you, like 63.
Are we on 63 now?
Yes.
See, I just can't get it factually correct. I'm always behind the times with this. So do you find then that people are coming to your concerts who have seen you on YouTube and don't necessarily go to classical gigs? I mean, do you have any sense of what the audience profile is like?
Well, that's right. And I'm particularly delighted to meet people who come to me after the concert. They say, they saw me on YouTube for the first time, and that's their first classical concert. That's always so great to know.
I mean, you've always been very open about this, and I know part of the way you do concerts is you'll live stream them, you ask the audience to participate and choose the repertoire. You're very open to all this stuff. But I think the flip side of it was that the supposedly, quote, serious critical community had some question marks about you, because, of course, here's this pianist who suddenly emerges as this internet sensation and engages with the public in a particular way. And there were a few kind of critical eyebrows raised about, she can't be any good, obviously. And it's interesting to have seen those critics absolutely unanimously have all come round, because now that they've actually heard you in concert or listened to one of the albums, they're like, actually, she's rather good. Did it ever slightly rankle with you that there was this sort of distancing of the establishment?
Of course. That was always a very big thing for me. But classical music, you have to understand, the music is like a train which goes somewhere. I'm all into travel, but the classical music is the last car in that train. We're always in the tail. Pop music is always ahead. So now pop music, they don't. If Lady Gaga, for example, let's take the extreme example. Now MTV is so much behind. It's so past. Because if she wants to introduce a new song, she goes and posts it on YouTube. And from there it trickles down. Probably we'll be sitting with, 10 years from now, and we'll be talking about new album on YouTube or something crazy, and it will be totally mainstream. Of course, people are afraid of new things and everything is suspicious. But the equivalent of what's happening with YouTube and with all the social media revolution, if we go back to, when Europe was in Middle Ages and then the printing press was invented, how much people complained from all sides. People lost their living because they couldn't copy books. Authors were screaming about copyright, copy, because they could control who copied books, and now they were printed. People complained about quality of printing. It was lowering the standard. And also the books it's not only Bibles, but some, very light reading. Same is happening with music and YouTube, and not only music. So it's good that I'm little part of this revolution.
And, I mean, certainly you have taken as much control as any classical artist can take over your career, which was that you said at one point, I could have had a career. I'm now looking around trying to get jobs desperately, and actually what I want to do instead is try and take this thing into my own hands and create my own destiny. I wonder how much other classical artists and younger performers have looked to you and spoken to you about the kind of example that you've offered?
Of course, I get those questions and I try to answer them all the time, but it's not recipe. I cannot go and say that every classical musician, young or old, should just go and post things on YouTube. YouTube is just one of probably a million different ways to make a name for yourself. The problem with classical music, because there are so many of us, and we're also well trained and we're all fabulous. We deserve to play for people, but how do we stop being commodity? No-name pianists playing Moonlight Sonata. How do we find our own audience? And the future is bright in this case, because we have millions, tens, hundreds of millions of people around the world who are discovering classical music. I'm talking about, what they call developing countries. But according to United Nations, just report was a couple of days ago, they expect by 2020 there will be 200 million people becoming middle class around the world. This is great for us. And this is great for musicians because this is our audience. When people stop worrying about where are they going to get their next piece of bread, they look for culture. And we're here to provide it. So there is no reason to get depressed and to sit around like I was sitting around saying, where is my audience? Just do something about it.
Talking more about control, just sitting here with with the Liszt album in my hands, there's a very beautiful, moody picture of you wearing black, playing Liszt at the piano.
No face.
No face, which I think is really a really interesting statement, because you've said before that, had you had this success 15 years ago, people would have exploited you. You've said then, I was looking pretty nice then, people would have exploited me. And I think there's an interesting thing that you've chosen to do, which is to try and let the playing speak for itself. And I wonder how much control you do have over that sense of image, and how much you sit and people at Decca will sit and talk with you about this, and whether how do you kind of control that?
Well, with photograph, we had 3 or 4 absolutely different styles of photographs. So we were talking around table while having wine and Italian dinner, and basically people were watching and deciding on which ones they like more. And everybody liked this photograph. Say it's strange, it's unusual, because there is no selling of female pianist. There is no dress, no pretty dress, no face, no makeup, just a blur of a face and a blur of a hand, which is quite fitting for Liszt album. But for me, and that's the advice that I always give to musicians, it's not about being like it when you go on stage, when you play for people. Is there a recording? Or you're not going on stage and saying, please, please, please like me, I'm so good. No, you're just playing composer. You're just a camera, a lens through which composer comes one way or another.
We're going to invite you to play again. It's a different composer this time. It's Chopin. What are you going to play for us?
A Nocturne, of course.
Why not? To take us into the evening.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed. Valentina Lisitsa playing live for us. It's Chopin's C-sharp minor Nocturne, live on In Tune.